Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Doom Patrol, Season 1, Episode 9, Jane Patrol. Man, okay, look, real talk. I don't know how I can keep on saying that each episode is better than the previous episode. I don't know how it's possible. I don't see how any episode could possibly ever top this episode. Jesus, this is the best freaking TV show. This is the best episode. This is the best everything. This is everything. God, what a man. Like, there are things that people say and do, and so like, oh, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Let me tell you something right now. On my worst enemy, I wouldn't wish for them to be deprived of this television show. That's how good this television show is. I think that watching shows like this can make human beings better people. People in general, all right? This episode, first off, has a whole lot to say about mental health. I mean, wow. Look, my first major was in psychology. I dropped it, and after the first semester, because I didn't like how it was all just labeling people, and I went and I finished my associates, a special American degree. I finished my associates in sociology. Actually, it's a double major, sociology and philosophy, and then I went on to engineering. But yeah, I can honestly say, with the little bit of field study that I have, and with as much effort as I put into understanding, and I really enjoy psychology today. I enjoy reading the magazines and things like that, specifically Psychology Today. Yeah, man, wow. When you think about how much this episode actually means, dealing with rape culture, incest rape culture, like, Jane had to deal with a memory. Why couldn't a man pass? Why is it that no man could pass? All right? For the most part, in general, I mean, like, guys are guys, and we are what we're, bred basically to be, what we're raised, what we're socialized to be. If someone hurts, one of my kids, the first thing I think of is, I'm going to beat the crap out of that person. But what about the healing of this person? We're always thinking about the immediate danger and whatnot, Oh, something bad happened to my kid. Honey, to the wife, the nurturing one, you take care of it. It's with a look, we think, you take care of the kid. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go out and find this person. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to hurt this person? You're going to kill this person? What are you going to do? You're going to start a freaking blood rivalry now? That family's going to come after you, and you're going to wind up going to jail. That kid who you claim that you want to protect needs you, jackass. Doesn't need you in jail. At least my father avenged me. Nobody needs that. There is not a single person on the face of this planet who's thinking, my father went to jail because... No, they'd much rather you be there. Oh, they'll say what they need to, but they'd much rather you actually be there. Beating up on someone doesn't actually help. It really doesn't. And this really exemplified that. In the meantime, they also made it so that one of Jane's personalities, or guardian gatekeepers, whatever, touched Cliff's junk. I'm just saying, they still managed to make it funny in a really intense situation. But yeah, you can't, it's not about having a package or not. It's about, can you think beyond what we think of as being a man? This is just my interpretation of it, of course. I'm just some jackass on the internet. You know what I'm saying? I'm not actually in these guys' heads. I don't talk to the people who make this. I don't talk to the writers, anybody involved in this. It's a shame, because I would love to. God, I would love to just delve into their minds. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, then again, we see what Cliff had to go through going into somebody's mind. So, I'm glad there wasn't a genie right around me when I said that. Look, dude. The idea of being someplace where you're not supposed to be, like in someone's head. These are the closely guarded secrets, Imagine, like, the worst cyber terrorist that you could possibly imagine would be the telepath. This is this person that, there's our inside voice, and then there's our outside voice. The outside voice is the person that we want everybody to think that we are. The inside voice, that's the vulnerable stuff. That's the thin skin membrane stuff. You know what I'm saying? There is no tough exterior or the illusion thereof with your thoughts. They're pretty much uncontrolled. They're just out there, and you think what you think because that's what you think. All of your life experiences and whatnot. Jane didn't have to, Robot Man in and of himself could have beaten up Jane's father. It's the memory of Jane's father. Why was he so huge? Well, because when Jane was a little kid, baby Kay, her father was huge. Like that's the thing. And it always seems that way. You ever go to a place when you were a kid? You know what I'm saying? And you just like I remember, for me, one of my biggest memories was I was in seventh grade. I was 7 years old. I was 7 years old. I was in second grade. Excuse me, second grade. And we had this place behind my house called the Hills because they were just huge. It was huge. It was a wooded, forested area, and you go into this big break in the trees, and there's this huge alcove of hills, and then they broke off into various different patches. And I was living down in Lakehurst, New Jersey at the time. It was a place called Beckerville, and Lakehurst is actually where the Hindenburg went down. But yeah, it's the Pine Barrens essentially, and you can get lost in there. Every single tree looks like every other tree. There is no variety of tree. There's no grass. There's only pine trees and pine needles, in the bed of the floor. You get lost in there in a big way. And I have gotten lost in there. I seen a jackrabbit that looked like it was going to whoop my ass. I mean, like, not even bite me, or no, like actually get up and beat the living crap out of me. I remember being terrified, thinking every little time I turn around, the Jersey Devil's going to be right there. Oh yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like huge impressions on me. I went back to those hills. Oh, excuse me, a little bit more. I sprained my right shoulder falling off of those hills one time, because they were huge. And I remember I was playing, I was running up and down, and the one time I fell down and I sprung my right shoulder. So for an entire month I could go up and down with my elbow, but if I brought my arm up just to here, it would snap back down, and it'd be intense, blinding pain, And of course we were poor and whatever, so I didn't even have a sling, which I should have, but we didn't go to the hospital for that. Probably made it even worse. Anyway, so I went back there many, many moons later when I was an adult. Went back there, and man, those things, those hills, those mighty hills, didn't even come up to my waist. They weren't that big. They just weren't that big. And I'm like, there's no way that, there's erosion. There had to have been weathering and erosion. That has to be the excuse for why they're so small. No, they were always that small. It's just I was smaller. and that's, how we think about our parents so many times. It's one of the reasons why when we turn around 15, 16, whatever, we start rebelling so much, because suddenly the parents aren't so small. Those memories we have of this big adult who's stronger than everybody and can do no wrong and knows everything, suddenly those ideals are shattered. When we realize, no, you're just a human, you do make mistakes, and I could probably take you to fist fight. and we're wrong on all those cases, but still we start to see the kink in the system, and we start to question everything about ourselves. It's not necessarily that we're questioning these people. We're questioning ourselves and what we believed in, what we put our faith in and our trust in. And it just seems to show in all sorts of interesting, weird ways. And that's what's basically happened with Jane. Crazy. I feel bad saying crazy Jane, right? But that's what she's experiencing. And she's literally broken down her psyche into so many different pieces. There's the part that runs, there's the part that fights, there's the part that just beats the living crap out of you, there's the part that talks back, there's the part that charms, there's the sex symbol, there's the one that's just power beyond all belief. There's all these different personalities, and how she's basically interpreting these memories. And in order for them to make sense, she actually compartmentalizes them. And it's up to her to try and figure out all of those different memories and rectify them. She's got to go back to the hills. For her, it's just the well. She's got to go back to the well. She's got to face those things. You can't actually fall in. Don't fall into the well. That would be a bad thing. There is no getting out of the well by yourself. I don't think anybody gets out of a well by themselves. In Beckerville, there was actually a kid who died. He fell into a well. I know, that's messed up. Remember we did the Lord's Prayer in school when that happened. And it's like, you look back on that today, man, what a different time. You You can't do no Our Fathers in school anymore, like, led by your teacher. Did it with a bus driver also, go figure. But anyway, and this young Catholic boy growing up in this, fairly Protestant area, it's like, wait a second, you're missing a couple parts of the Lord's Prayer, man. Turns out I was just adding some. But get into the 66 versus the 72 books of the Bible, depending on if you're Protestant or Roman Catholic. Anyway, seeing the way that she compartmentalizes everything and how each of those personalities essentially is going to have to go back and they're going to have to find their own rectification of this. The only way for her to be cured in this context would be if all of the personalities showed true bravery to go back and face these memories, as opposed to just forgetting about them, because that's what trauma essentially is. It is compartmentalizing a memory and just, let's not revisit that anymore. Put some scar tissue over top of that so it's stronger next time, so that we don't actually have to face that. Excuse me, man, the human psyche sucks. So Diane Guerrera, I had to look up her name again. The only time I remember seeing her in a show was in Orange is the New Black on Netflix. I remember thinking, she's the hot chick from Orange is the New Black. Yeah, a bunch of hot chicks, but like she was the one, like her job was to be hot. She was with that Flacco girl who she wasn't portrayed as being quite as hot. There was like a contest they were doing the one time where it's like, oh no, like there's the hot one, the two hot chicks, but this is the hot chick, on the internet thing when they were rioting and taking over the prison. I think that was the second. The penultimate season. Man, I never would have cast Diane Guerrera for this role based on Orange is the New Black. That was just a paycheck for this woman. You know what I'm saying? That's all that was just a paycheck. And she did a great job in there, but she just came off as completely flaky and whatever. And it's like, it was hard for me to ever imagine that she's going to do better than that. And it wasn't until episode 4 of Doom Patrol that I finally decided to look her up. And I was like, who is this amazing actress? Wow, she's awesome. And it's another example of how amazing this team is that does Doom Patrol. That they took this actress who, I'm sure they went and looked at, other movies that she's been in or TV shows or whatever that Diane Guerrera has been in. But it shows you, you can't just look at the director or the writer or whatever. You got to look at everybody, including the casting crew, the casting person, the person in charge of casting director, I don't know, whoever, shut up. All right. You got to look at every single person, including the caterer, because maybe somebody gets food poisoning and oops, we got to find another way to do this because we don't have time to do reshoots later. You got to look at everybody that's involved in a show. It's one of the reasons why whenever I do comic book reviews, I don't get into the editors and stuff like that, because I would just be there forever explaining all that stuff. And I do think that it's on the comic book companies to, when they put out their reviews, their preview pages, to actually include the cover page that has all the people involved in the show, so that I can put that up, so that people can see that, because I love being able to put that up. And I will still say the names of the writers, the artists, all of the artists, the letterers, the people who did the covers and whatnot. And if there's not 40 variant covers, I'll do the variant cover names also. But like I said, I even get into the letterers, because you ever read a comic book with bad lettering? Don't look like a comic book anymore, does it? Everybody who's involved in doing something is there for a good reason, a damned good reason. They deserve to be mentioned. One of the reasons why I love the Marvel movies, and now the DC movies too, and I think that more movies should do this, is they like to put an end credit scene, an after credit scene. It used to be that movies were required by the Screen Actors Association or the whatever, the Writers Guild, whatever, something, one of the groups in charge of movies. they used to have to put all their credits in the front of a movie. And you remember some of these older movies, that's what they used to always do. And then at the end, it would just say the end, or, fade off, or you'd see a couple of, the main actors would be reminded, hey, these people were here and directed by such and such. But all the credits and whatnot would be in the beginning of the movie. Star Wars was the first movie that came along, according to my research, that changed that and said, listen, we want to do this really cool opening sequence. We don't want to put, we want to put this credit, the screen roll and everything like that. We want to put all the people at the end of the movie. They were only given permission to do that for the first movie. They thought they could just do it for the second movie. They got in a lot of trouble for doing that for the second movie, Empire Strikes Back. But for the first movie, which eventually became known as A New Hope, that was the first movie that I know of that actually asked for the credits to be in the back and won at whatever. They got that. That's cool. Wherever you want to put the credits, that's fine. Put it in intermission as far as I'm concerned. But I think it's the least you could do is sit back and just at least glance at the people who were responsible for it. If you walk out of a movie and you just go, man, that was a great movie, I don't think that anybody's going to be quizzed on who wrote the score. Say all the score is one thing, a bunch of people who will know that, but who was the third person in charge of, who was the best boy, who was the key grip, who was the boom operator. No, but I think that the least bit is just that little bit of respect to that little bit of extra time and just check out those credits. And something like this is just exemplary of that. The person who's in charge of doing the casting, all these people, man, they really pulled like the best of the best into this. Reminds me of a really good movie called The Best of the Best. The sequels, I could live without them, but everybody involved in this, man. Everybody. Just round of applause. Hats off. Not bandanas off, because, whatever. Bandanas off. But the point is, great TV show, and everybody involved deserves freaking Oscars, Emmys, Grammys, whatever necessary. This is the best show on TV. The absolute hands down best. And if I had to find something that I didn't like, something that I was maybe a little bit angry at, I'd say the DC streaming service. Why, you ask? Because the people who don't live in America, who don't have a VPN on their computer like I do, we can't watch this. There's a whole bunch of people. There are illegal downloads of this. Yeah, look that up also. There's a bunch of people here in Canada where I live. I'm an American who lives in Canada. Got my landed papers. I'm Canadian enough, and I got plenty of Canadians who claim me, so I'm good with that, all right? But the idea is that there are a lot of people who I know who are like, yeah, I downloaded illegally. Ain't that messed up? Like, I don't want to hear about licensing problems and this, that, and the other thing. I'm just so tired of hearing about stuff like that. To the best of my understanding, this show is only available in America. Maybe it's available in some other places and whatnot, but even the Disney streaming service, they're saying, oh, it's going to be available in America, and I think, and very soon later, the rest of North America and China, and then eventually in other places too. Would it be wrong to say that you just release it to everybody at the same time? I understand there's red tape, these things happen, but come on, man. Come on. Things could be done. And on top of that, like, just laws and regulations and stupid freaking monopoly rights and things like that, or monopoly ignoring rules. I don't know what that would actually be called. Ignoring monopoly laws, or not having monopoly laws. Because I know that here in Canada, they do something stupid where they say, oh, you've got to be subscribed to a network television service. Same thing with the WWE network and so many other things. You can't just watch it on the internet because the regions here, places like Bell and Rogers, that's like Comcast and Verizon in America. These places, they make it so that, no, you have to, if you want to get the internet service, you have to get it through our services first. We'll make it available outside of that. Stuff like that needs to be abolished. Stuff like that just needs to be wrecked wholesale. Take a sledgehammer to it. Send freaking Hammerhead what was that person, Drill Bit Bill in there or something like that? Anyway, yeah. Send some people in there to send some Italians in there, all right? Italian, I can say that. Send some people in there to handle that, because it's disgusting that red tape is preventing excellent shows like this from getting out, and it's only encouraging illegal downloaders. And although I'm not a fan of illegal downloads, I honestly have to sit there and think and state, can you really blame them? No. As messed up as it sounds, can you really blame these people? If you live in America and you're illegally downloading movies, I got no love for what you do. I can't support that, whatever. And if you got your excuses, you got your excuses. And if it bothers you so much what some jackass on the internet says, well, imagine what I think of some illegal downloading jackass like yourself. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? If you're cool with it, then just be cool with it. All right? Just that's what it is. But real talk, man. What do you say to someone who it's like, well, it's not available in my country. There's only two ways for me to get in my country. One is to get a VPN, to go out and purchase a fairly expensive VPN and pay for that VPN so that I can purchase the DC streaming service in my country. Or I just illegally download it. Because nobody should have to pay twice for something that's available to other people for one price, and other people have to pay twice for it. So it's hard to really just hate on somebody in Canada or, China or any place else that's illegally downloading these films. I don't endorse it. I don't support it. But I'm also not here to point fingers. I mean, it is what it is, man. And that sucks. That really sucks. Anyway, these laws need to be stopped, because this is an excellent TV show. This is just such an amazing TV show, and everybody should be allowed to watch this. Everybody should be able to watch this. Everyone should have access to something like this. Sounds silly for a comic book TV show, right? Not if you've watched it. Then you understand. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.